Oh, your Facebook is private?
Hello, welcome. If you're watching, please share this. All right, welcome. I can see people are joining us, and this is exciting. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Pastor Show. Thank you for joining us, Pastor Show. We appreciate
Thank
this.
you,
Yes.
Zenga.
Okay. Okay. All right. Welcome everyone joining us. It's another beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Houston, Texas, and we are glad to have you. Please let us know where you're joining us from. This is my Mental Health Matters live show. This is where we talk about mental health, everything we can to increase awareness about mental health and decrease every stigma with mental illness. So thank you for joining. Share this, join us. And I am excited to be here today because I'm always excited. But I am super excited to be here today because I have another special guest. And today's show is special. Today's show is special. This is a mother wanting to talk to parents and every other person that can benefit from this about one of the most important reasons we all need to come together to decrease, eliminate, and stop mental illness stigma. And I am so excited to welcome mommy, Mrs. Remi Ojayemi. Thank you so much for joining us, Ma. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. And
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
to everybody joining.
Okay. All right, welcome, Matt. So briefly about how I met Mrs. Ojayemi. Now, one day I was about to go live, almost a month or more ago. I was about going live, and I got this message from her saying, "Hello, Dio. How can I join to uh, help talk about mental health or to do something to decrease mental health stigma?" And the message she sent about, which is what she's going to talk about today, broke my heart. I called her after, and she let me know that what she's really interested in is to have a voice in reducing mental illness stigma. And I am so honored and privileged to have her on this show today. Please welcome her with me, and let's listen to what she will be sharing with us today with all empathy and with a sense of purpose to help other people. Ma'am, welcome again. Uh,
Thank you.
okay, ma'am, I want you to tell us, first of all, why are you doing this?
As a mother who wanted to share something about my experience and to see how I can impact other, to see what people can learn from my experience too. That's why I'm here to talk about this stigma, and see how we can collectively reduce stigma, stigma, or eliminate stigma, and see what mental illness is all about. Mental illness is a disease like any other disease that needs to be taken care of. We just put people in their place that they are crazy, so they cannot relate with the world. But people can relate to the world. They are not crazy, they have illness. And mental illness is not dealt with like any other illness. Mental illness is for the person that has the illness. But as a society, we need to embrace them, to let them know that they matter too. And mental illness matters.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So now let us go right into the experience you want to share with us. I will just step aside and let you share the story with us. And as she will be sharing the story, I want everybody to know that is a trigger alert. We're going to be talking about suicide, and if for any reason you think that you will not be able to bear this information, or it will be too much for you, or it might trigger some past experiences or unpleasant experiences, I recommend that you please log off now. It will be better. We would not want to trigger unwanted feelings or thoughts for you. Meanwhile, now I'll step aside and let Mrs. Ojayemi share our experience with suicide with us. Ma'am, you have the floor. Can you hear me? Okay, we're having some technical issues. If you would want to switch device, you can go ahead, ma'am, and turn on the other device, and I'll bring you in on that one. All right. So while she's working on that, I will say a few things here. I want to talk about some myths about suicide. I want us to know that people say this a lot. They talk about people who try to who talk about suicide do not really mean it. And when they're talking about it, instead of talking about it, if they wanted to do it, they would have done it. I want us to know that this is a myth. This is not true. When people talk about suicide, they are probably really actively thinking about it, and it's something that they can go ahead to carry out. It is their way of saying, I am in pain and I want to stop this pain somehow. So it is important that if anybody says something about wanting to die or wanting to end their life, that we do not take it lightly or take it for granted. Another myth I would say while we're waiting for her to come back is that a lot of people also say when someone is talking about suicide that they are just trying to get attention. People who die by suicide most times they have told somebody about it. Okay, ma'am, are you back? Can you?
I'm back, I
Okay,
think.
we'll go ahead and use this. I'll round up now. So when people who die by suicide, they talk about it first. Their pain is oftentimes one that is so excruciating, and they're reaching out for help. Yes, they're trying to get attention, but the attention is for help. It's a way of seeking help as best as they can. That is why they're saying that. So it is not attention seeking in a negative way. It is really attention seeking for some help. So I'll stop here while we listen to the experience you want to share with us. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Okay. As I said earlier, my name is Remy. I'm a mother that experienced this. And my life took a turn a few years back, but I still want to be able to say something about it and try to impact others. My son was 37 years old when it happened. He, the first instance happened a few years back when he was in his last year in college. I He was a son that was there for the mother. He was really, really, really mama's boy, as he called himself. But unfortunately, life happened to him. So we started this journey when he was in his last year, 20, year 2000 or so. He was supposed to graduate year 2000. He was in his last. So this happened 2000 and 1999, I believe. I'm not even sure. I don't even remember vivid everything that happened, the date. But I noticed during one of our conversations, he called me from school. He said he wanted to talk to me, which I usually listen to all my kids. He he was supposed to join a fraternity in school. That's how the whole thing started. When he called me, the fraternity told them they cannot tell anybody. So he told me the last minute that I'm going to be initiated soon, but I just think I should talk to you. So we talked. But the sound that I heard in my son's voice made me go the next day to see him in school. We I didn't get to his school until like 8 p.m. that night. But I went there. When I got there, we talked. Then I suggested, let's go home and see a primary care physician. But he said, oh, don't worry, I'll be okay. I said, I tried my best. He said, then I gave in. I said, okay. Then he told me there are counselors in the school that he can go to, which he did. He did go to the counselor in school, but he was supposed to go back and he never did, which I later found out later. So that's how the whole thing started. When I got back from his school, I tried to talk to the older brother about fraternity, which I don't know anything about all this fraternity. I was grown before I came to this country. I had 2 kids back home before I actually came with them to this country. So I didn't have that experience of fraternity, what they do, how they go about it. So I was asking questions from my older son. What's fraternity all about? He was explaining to me, but unfortunately, there was nothing we could do about it But eventually, my son did not join the fraternity. So with that, I was like, okay, he didn't join. So that's better. But not really knowing what to expect down the line. So December, no, was it December? September 25, I believe 1999. That was the first attempt of suicide, but he survived it. I was called from school. I got to the school, to the hospital that night, maybe about 1 a.m. or so. So from there, that's how the journey really started. We were in the hospital for about 3 weeks, transferred to a local hospital on Long Island because we were living on Long Island. So we went to that hospital for, he was in one for about 2 weeks, then another one then to a rehab center because he had a lot of broken bones. So he did all the therapy there and he was discharged a day before Thanksgiving. That I don't forget. He was discharged a day before Thanksgiving. So that's how the whole journey started. But my son tried his best. I will give that to him wherever he is. He tried his best. He will go to see his psychiatrist, his therapist. He will take his medication. He did his best. He wanted to show that he can do it. So he was an adult. At the point in college, there was nothing I could do anyway. But I was his next of kin in everything, in the hospital, everywhere. I was his next of kin. So I had knowledge of what was going on. He would talk to me about it. My son tried his best. He tried this shock therapy by himself. Only one I went with him to an hospital where I was, they needed somebody. So I went with him to one hospital in New York City. In that hospital, they talked to me about what will happen. They showed me videos, they did everything. So I was there with everything and anything he needed that I could give as a mother. So with that, he was doing better. We were living together. Me and him were living together in a big house. And we needed to move because the house wasn't serving any purpose. He refused to go with me because I wanted to get a bigger apartment so we can stay there and continue life. So eventually, he rented an apartment. He was living in the apartment. And he had a girlfriend that they were living together. So they lived together till the fateful day when the final call came. He sent me an email. I just woke up around 11. I said, let me check my email. Why? I don't know. But I checked my email. I saw his email telling me everything. And I got up from there. I made some calls, and I found myself in the hospital that night, where he said in the email he sent was where he was found. So we went to the hospital. We went to the hospital, me, and I called the other siblings. I let them know what happened. It was in the middle of the night by that time. So I called them, and that's how it ended. But I don't want his life that ended not to have any impact on others. I'm doing this so I can see, so I can impact others. I can give, I'm sure I can give somebody strength. A parent going through this, I'm, I, I can give them some strength based on the little knowledge I'm going, I'm going through. So I thank God for my church. I thank God for my other kids. They stood by me. They've been standing by me. Thank you, Ashley. I need to mention that name. She's my daughter-in-law, but a daughter. She's been very helpful in any shape or form we, she can. So I tried to start a foundation in his name, but shortening the name to make it sound better. So I started the foundation. The foundation is STOP Foundation, just to promote mental illness. In our culture, where we come from, we don't deal with it at all. At all, we don't deal with it. And I've seen here that I am in this country that Black people in general, they don't deal with it. It's not, we don't go to therapists. We don't take therapy because it's this, because it's that. But when you need help, you need help. When you have cancer, do you deal with it at home? No. You still go to the hospital. And they help you in the best way they could. So mental health, if we try to reduce the stigma about mental health or do away completely with it, we will be able to, this illness can be conquered too. I've seen so many people on your show that they tried. They've been giving us their experiences, which I think hopefully people will take those experiences and seek help. That's what we need. We need to seek help. As a parent, I know it's not what we want to deal with as a parent. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to believe it can happen to my child. But please, it can happen to your child. If you see signs, different signs, I just spoke to my son when I heard it in his voice that something was wrong. And I tried my best. I went there to the school. You need to know your children. And in my experience, the parents, when I say parents, I mean mother and father, they have to be on the same page and they have to work together, no matter what the differences they have. The parents, when one notices something, the other should not dismiss it. Try to work together and see how you can help your child. It's your child that you are helping, not the other person. It's your child. If you have a child that has cancer, will you be there for the child? You should be there for the child. So also is mental health. Mental illness is real, is out there. And if we notice anything at any point, at any age, let's look into it. Let's face this squarely as a parent. So, no parent should go through what I went through, but I thank God at all times with whatever I went through. If if it's not meant for me, it will not happen. But it's meant for me, and I hope something good will come out of it by helping others. Parents, parents, our children deserve better. If we bring them to the world, we are supposed to help them to make them the best they could be. And the best they could be is being whole. The best they could be is being healthy, no matter what type of illness. They need to be healthy.
Okay, thank you for sharing this experience with us, ma'am. It's a sad one. Wish no one uh anything like this. But I want to ask a few questions, if it's okay, just for some clarifications before I give us some information about suicide prevention. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm
So,
here.
yes, ma'am. So, you talked about if you see some signs, and you mentioned that a while back it had the first attempt, which, by the way, for us as mental health professionals, having a prior attempt of suicide increases the risk of another suicide significantly.
Hmm.
So we should not say because somebody had it before, then maybe they would have learned their lesson or they would not want to do it. No. Most times, when they've had an attempt, it increases that rate of another one quite significantly. So, ma'am, that first attempt, did you get, has he been showing signs before that one? And what were the treatments that were put in place for him after the attempt, other than the physical treatment that he had?
The first, before the before the first attempt, looking back, looking back, you can see that there were signs. There were signs there, but we don't. I'm not a professional, so some things I couldn't. But as a mother, and after the fact, one of the signs that I think I saw was there's this we call the pata in Yoruba language. I don't. I've been trying to change it to English all this time, but I couldn't.
A troublesome child, or we call it a stubborn or troublesome child, or
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Thank you.
has conduct issues, behavior.
Mm, a stubborn child, a troublesome child. After some time, a, a stubborn child will be getting better the older they get. If it's just a troublesome boy, he will be getting better. But if he's not getting better with age, look into it. It's just looking back now. I'm looking back since it all started because I was asking myself, what could I have done differently? Which is like blaming myself for it. But I know as a mother, I tried my best that I could. in the culture we are, when your child is an adult, there's nothing you can do. Once they turn 18, the child has to step up and do whatever he needs to do. But I know there are some things I would have been able to do if he was a minor. I would have been able to take him to the doctor and tell the doctor what I see. But at that point, I couldn't do that anymore. Most of the treatment, although they have my name and my phone number as the next of kin, but there is so much they can tell me, and they will not tell me much. So the cause that I got is when things happen as a parent.
Okay, so let me use this opportunity to share some of the signs that people show uh, when they're contemplating suicide, or that might be an indication of a plan. So, like in mommy's case, she said the behavior is there, but we also have people. One of the significant one is they withdraw. They start withdrawing. A lively person, a jovial person, somebody that is usually very up and about, can start withdrawing, keeping things to themselves. Another one is you might start seeing extreme rage. They're just opposite of what they've been. So personality or character or behavior difference that is so significant, but can be one of the signs that we'll see. Another one, other than withdrawal, is they are maybe giving things away, or they are telling you to take care of themselves, or they're calling to ask for forgiveness for something they've done just out of the blues, or they are feeling or saying that they are hopeless and helpless and that nobody can help them. Or you find them acting so impulsively. They just do stuff as if they're not thinking, like driving recklessly, or they start drinking without any care or excessively. And, another one which they usually say that a lot of people miss is that they say it out. They tell you that they're having suicidal ideation. Some people would even tell you they have a plan. I had somebody who it was a new client of mine that I saw about 2 weeks ago, and he told me that he bought a gun, and the trigger or what's going on with him, even though it's depression, is that he's having marital issues with his wife, to the point that his self-esteem, is gone. He doesn't feel that he has any hope. He got to a point that he said, "Hey, I'm going to get a gun." One of the things we have to do in that case is to get somebody to take the gun away from him, and keep it away, and ask him, "Do you have any other thing?" And then part of his plan was to come and seek the help, where I was able to see him for this, and we started treatment. So that's it for us as family members, or as relatives or friends or colleagues, and things to see. But on a personal level, we have people who have depression. Untreated mental illness is one of the high risk factors for suicide. Note, untreated mental illnesses. Schizophrenia is one of them. Bipolar is one of them. Depression is the one that is so significant. That's like the worst thing that can happen with the someone who has depression. However, being depressed does not mean that one will always be suicidal. But in the case that we have that, it should be treated and addressed. So it's one of the things you will find providers or physicians asking all the time. Are you having suicidal thoughts or ideation? People think you shouldn't ask people that, you put it in their head. Even children, that don't ask them. No, that is not true. If you think so, ask them, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Most of the time, somebody that is thinking about it will say yes. And they say yes and confide in people that they know will help them. So it would be good if you're asking, anytime you ask, from a place of support and help, and not of ridicule or mockery. So I wanted to say, on a personal level, if you start feeling like you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling helpless, you're feeling strong rage or anger, or you feel the need to drink recklessly, alcohol, or you're taking drugs, or you start finding yourself acting impulsively, feeling a need to write a will and share with people, and just feeling a sense of detachment from the things that you own. You want to give things out because things don't have meaning to you anymore, or you're feeling a sense of a strong sense of shame and guilt. All those things, if they're there, change in sleeping habit. Things are just getting difficult and difficult. You feel like you're losing a grip. And the one that I hear those who have this saying mostly is that pain. There's an internal pain that you're trying to put an end to, that you just seem not to find a way to end it. That pain is just there. You can't describe it. And you feel doing this will give me some peace. Please, you are not alone. Speak to someone and let somebody know. Ma'am, another question for you now is, you said he wrote you an email. When you were sharing the story with me, you told me something. He even told you where they were going to find him. But there was a trigger. Do you want to mention what the trigger was for this particular incident that was the last one?
He wanted to be married. He wanted to have kids. He had a girlfriend. Actually, he told me to get some things for them from Nigeria, outfit for both of them. And I told him it's okay, but women plan wedding, not men. So let me know. Tell her to call me and tell me the color she wants, what she wants. So she never called. One day, he just put him out on the phone with me. So she said, "Oh, I'm not ready now." Something like that. Just dismiss it. That when I have the plan, I will let you know. During when we were in the hospital, she was there too. I don't want to. I want to correct something. I don't want to make it an issue, but it's a trigger. That's what we are talking about. Different things happen. This was his own trigger that day. That day they said they had discussion. She said it to the police officer investigating everything. So she said they had discussion about marriage, and she said she cannot marry him because of the illness. So that was what happened earlier in the day that day. So the timing of the email was like shortly before he did it. But it's a lengthy one, so he must have prepared it. And he sent it and turned his phone off. He blocked the girl from his line before that incident. So nobody could get in touch with him at any point that day. So we were unable. He was the first person that I called when I saw the email, definitely. But it went to voicemail. And as I did, I left a voicemail that what is going on, you can talk to me. But unfortunately, by the time I got the email, it already happened. But something came out. Some of his organs were donated. So somebody is living through him now. I just want to bring that. But it's not something you want to go through as a parent. Because when the first instance, they came to us in the hospital. You want to donate his organs so we can sign something now. Then I said, no, let's see what God will do. And he came through.
When did he ask that? When did he ask you if he could donate his organs?
No, he didn't ask me.
Oh.
But we found out on his driver's license that he said he will donate his organs.
Okay.
So that was a consolation after we donated it. We found out in his driver's license that he said he will be an organ donor. He never said that to me. I didn't even know his driver's license had the organ donation side part. No.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, so here is one of the questions they ask when we want to in the United States. One of the questions they ask if you when you go for your driver's license, you'll have it on the form if you want to donate your organs in case anything happened to you, so that it can be beneficiary to one. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes this kind of things. In retrospect, now like you said, it's like somebody is living on for him in a way, and it might give you consolation, or not. But talking about the trigger, this is why I want to quickly say a few other things that can trigger the kind of acts like that. Now, I want you to know that mental illness is not the only reason, it's not the only risk factor or the only thing that make people to think of suicide or die by suicide. But it is untreated depression, which comes with all those hopelessness and all those things that we talked about earlier, are those things that it is the number one, is the number one risk, the highest risk for suicide. But there are life events and things that can trigger suicidal thoughts or taking the act itself, like losing a loved one. Thank God that mommy here, she has the strength to turn this into something meaningful. But not all parents would even be able to handle this kind of thing, and they might need treatment to help them. And when we talk of treatment, it's not always just medication or medication. The treatment is just taking action that is appropriate with the goal in mind to help the person cope better and live better. So that's what treatment means. But loss of a loved one, separation, divorce or breakups, then one of the things that can also
Other things are separation, divorce, divorce or breakups. Then one of
okay, I'll bring her back while she posts that. Okay, so the loss, breakup or separation, serious illness. Okay, when somebody is chronically ill, maybe somebody with, I don't want to mention specifics so that I'm not quoted, but there are a lot of illnesses that can happen that might make someone to feel or think that they do not have any hope anymore and want to do something like that to themselves. Another one is chronic pain, terrible accident, verbal, physical, sexual, emotional abuse, unresolved abuse is, just continues to linger. Alcohol abuse or drug abuse is also one of the things that can trigger suicide. Because with those kind of things, there can be impulse decisions. There can be impulse decisions, or things can just happen, and people think, you know what, F it, I'm just going to do this, and they go away and just end everything. So alcohol misuse or alcohol dependency or drug misuse or dependence can cause that. We can have a major disappointment, financial trouble, debt, somebody feeling like they can't even get over, or there's no way they can recover from this kind of financial loss, or they're in trouble as a result of the debts that they have. We have bullying that happening a lot with children. Again, last week after the show, was it on Sunday last week, I got a text message where somebody told me about a 13-year-old child who hung himself on the school tree somewhere. I got it from Nigeria. 13-year-old boy. He hung himself. And what they said triggered that was because the parents, according to the story, this is just me quoting what I heard. I don't know how true it is. They said one of the parents was just too ash on the child, that he did something and they were going to punish him when he gets back from school. And he decided to just end it before going home. It was when they didn't find him the next day that he did that. Which brings me to another myth that, hey, children do not know what is called suicide, and children do not die by suicide. That is not true. We need to pay attention to children as well and make sure that we don't take anything we see for granted and ensure that we give them the support and needs. And when we see red flags, that we do not ignore them. So I will pause there and ask my guest another question. And here this time I want to ask about how did you cope after the tragic loss? What were the things that helped you? I remember you mentioned Ashley. Thank you, Ashley, for your support to the point that she remembered and she's sharing your name today. Thank you. But, ma'am, tell us, other than that, what were the other things that you did to help you? So that if anybody here is listening that's experienced such or going through any difficult time or that wants to help other people, tell us what helped you.
Um, as a person, I like to talk about whatever is going on because it helps me deal with it. When I talk about situations or whatever is going on, once I verbalize it out, and thank God I had some friends that were able to step up and help. But I've been told by several people to go for therapy, which I think I will eventually go because I see myself crying all the time. So I will go for therapy. I believe it helps. So I will eventually go for therapy. My church helped a lot in several ways. My church helped in several ways. And the group that we started, the foundation that I started, helped a little because um, my main purpose is to see how I can help others, which helps me too in some ways. But I'm not ruling out therapy. It came up even yesterday. It came up, but I believe in talking it out, which most of the therapy is all about. Talking it out. That I believe in talking it out. Anybody that is willing to listen to me, I talk. Even not something this big in my life generally. Once I talk about it, it relieves me. That I know. It relieves me when I talk about it. So that is how I've been trying to cope.
Okay, ma. Thank you. So you mentioned that you talk about it. That is, you open up. You don't internalize everything going on. It is a good one for us to do. Please open up, talk to someone. You never just know how much relief you will get from opening up. I know that one of the challenges we have is how do you know the right person to open up to? How do you know who will not keep talking and making it a big deal that this is happening to you? And it's one of the reasons we're talking against stigma. Because if you told somebody, hey, I have a tummy ache or I have a headache, they go like, oh, have you used Tylenol or have you used something? They tell you, they help you. And it's not like, what? You have a headache? And it's like they're telling everybody you have a headache. We want mental illness or mental health issues to also get to that point where people think of how they can support instead of thinking of the negative connotation or um, uh, uh, the negative representation that it has. So that is one. But let me say something here. Therapy, psychotherapy is not the same as talking to a friend. There are, and and so therapists do not just go to school, or we don't just know and study therapy just like we're listening to a friend talk. We don't gist in therapy. It is very therapeutic. Meaning it has a process that is healing. So I want people here to hear me out that while it's okay to open up to people and tell them, like mommy here did, please, and when they talk about therapy, and Ma, you will find out when you go for therapy that there are lots of benefits of therapy. You will find out that there are different things that we do that when you follow your treatment regimen and plan with your therapist, you will be able to see and look back on how things are getting better, because we have different kinds of therapy. We have cognitive behavioral therapy, we have supportive therapy, we have solution focused therapy, we have different kind of therapies that a professional will know which one is appropriate for who and when and at what point, and you can monitor the progress together with that person. So yes, please, it's good, open up to people who can support you, but let's be mindful that therapy is not equal to speaking to a friend, even though that also has its own therapeutic effects or the benefits. So another thing you mentioned was the support of the church, having a community to support you. And I thank God that you had a church that supports you. And that is why I always, always, always talk about our religious leaders and pastors and religious leaders everywhere, whatever religion that it is. We thank them for the great things they're doing. Even they also need support because they have to deal with a lot. But thank God you have a community that supported you, and we hope that they will we hope that we won't have this kind of experience again, but that they will continue to have the strength to help. But another thing that I would say would help, ma'am, that has helped a lot of people is if you have a group of people who had experienced this kind of thing before, the support group of mothers or other parents or loved ones of people who had lost a loved one to suicide before. Being in such community kind of help. You feel like you're not alone, because, like you said, you do not wish this on any parent, but you know that if you meet somebody that experienced this kind of thing, you can relate to the kind of pain that comes with losing a child, to suicide. You'll be able to relate and support the person better than somebody who has not. And who has not? You have.
I know why you are laughing.
Okay, I think our viewers can also see this from Olori Roxy.
I know that's why you are laughing.
Yes, that's why. So on a lighter note, so my guest here apparently is Daddy's girl. She looks after like her daddy so much. And she said Agba today. Well, she's a very beautiful Agba. Thank you so much for joining us, Olori. So as we're wrapping up, I want you to tell us more about the foundation, and to people that are listening, what would you want them to do? And a last note for parents.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The foundation is TOE Foundation is there. We establish it to help people to deal with this stigma and mental health wherever they are or whatever they want to do. The name is TOE Foundation, is on Instagram, is on Facebook. We have a website. If you go to the page on Facebook, there is a phone number there. If there is any way we can help you, refer you to people that can help you. I'm not a professional. I don't know what to tell you other than to encourage you. I will encourage you, but I don't know what to tell you. So, and I have some people in my group that I have that they are mental health um psych NP. Yeah, I have them there. So, and we have a website that you can go to. Whatever help you think we can help, we will be there to help you. The foundation, the website is mytofoundation.com, and the Facebook and Instagram page is TO Foundation. It's there. It hasn't been busy, but once in a while I post things. And hopefully we will be able to do whatever we can do in promoting it, in letting people know how we can help and that we are there. Is the mental, is the stigma that we are trying to, so people can be free to go and seek help. And my advice for parents, when you notice anything, no matter how little it is, whether physical health or mental health, seek help. That's very, very, very important. You need to seek help because not I am guilty of some things myself when the whole thing started. I don't talk about it. The closest friend of mine that I can say is the closest, we never sat down and talk about my son's illness. And I think it's the stigma that I will be stigmatized and my son will be stigmatized. That's the bottom line. But we cannot hide it anymore. We cannot push it under the rug anymore. There is help out there. It's not about the medication alone that people use. And I believe, like any other illness, if caught on time, there is always help. If caught on time, people will be able to, the person involved will be able to deal with it, and the family as a whole will be able to deal with it. So that would be my advice. Look into your child. You know your child. When there's something wrong, you will know that there's something wrong. But seek help. Let people know that there's help out there. That will be my advice for parents. Don't overlook anything. Seek help for your child. Ìrọ̀rùn eku ni ìrọ̀rùn adìyẹ, whatever, I don't. Yeah. If your child is okay, you are okay. If you are not okay, your child cannot be okay, or anybody around you will not be okay. So let's start helping ourselves by helping others. Help your child whenever you see any signs. Talk about it with your child, whether an adult or a child. Try to find a way to get through because it's not easy. So let's talk about this thing. Let's deal with it. That would be my advice. Parents, work together to help your kids because when they can do for you, now that you are the one that can do for them, help them while you can do for them. Then, because sooner or later, the parents will be old and these kids will be the one helping them in any way they could help. But if they are not okay, if you don't deal with them when they were young, it will be difficult to relate to you when you are older. And that's one thing. Please, parent, please get involved in your children's life. Get involved. So both will see what is going on in the child's life, get involved. My advice for young couples now is when when you are pregnant, the first time you know that you are pregnant, involve the guy. You didn't do it alone. So involve the guy. So everybody get together, be involved in your child's life in any shape or form. It's not mother's work alone. It's not daddy's work alone. It's both parents. You both brought the child to the world. So the two of you should work together to help your children in any way you can.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We have a lot of people showing you love here, saying thank you for coming, thank you for sharing this, and I want to make a quick reference to what Olorironte Ajayi posted. Ma'am, she said she saw the write up by Betty Rabor on her struggle. I also saw that write up on LinkedIn where she talked about why when she was away from the country and she was somewhere waiting to see a psychiatrist, and one of the things she was thinking of is, thankfully nobody knows me here. We don't want to be identified with anything that has to do with mental health. However, this is our health as well, just like mental health, and I mean just like physical health. We need things to be taken care of and not left untreated. Another thing you mentioned about women, seeking help or involving the father of the child in the care, it's also very important. And it's also where I will say for pregnant women, please, we talked recently about postpartum depression. Let us get involved and help our pregnant women right from conception because of the benefits for the unborn child and the woman herself. And lastly, I want to say that we have studies. So in Nigeria or in Africa, suicide is still grossly underreported.
Mhm.
So it's like the prevalence of it is not real to us yet because we are not even reporting it, and there's no system reporting it. However, as being a country with a population of about 200 million people, Nigeria is the epicenter, or is an epicenter for suicide, with the rate of, I believe, 18.3% to 100,000. 17.3% to 100,000, while Africa itself has about 12% to 100,000. And then the globally, it is even lower than what we have in Africa. So Nigeria has a high rate of suicide, but we don't talk about it. I believe in 2019 alone, there was a report of about 350 deaths, looking at all the newspapers. And this was a study, I got that from a study by some Nigerians and other people. The study was led by Tosin Phillips Oyetunji and her group when they did the study in Nigeria to find out the prevalence. So one thing is, it's still grossly underreported. Well, reporting it or not, our goal is that we don't have it happening anymore. And we don't want stigma to keep holding people back from seeking help. So please, to everybody watching us right now, and to those who will watch the replay, we are encouraging you that in your own little way, just start with you. First, do not self stigmatize. If you need help, seek help. Secondly, support other people whenever you notice anything or they open up to you. And thirdly, if anybody is stigmatizing or saying words or phrases or doing things that stigmatizes mental health, please call them to order. Give them information on how this is hurting all of us. So I'm thanking you ahead for doing that to all our viewers. And lastly, you know, the rate of suicide, the prevalence of suicide, of all the suicides that we have, studies shows that 75% of suicide, of people who die by suicide, are males. 75% are males.
Mhm.
And yes, even though the rate of attempt is higher in females, but 75% of every suicide, we don't say successful suicide, it's it's a wrong word to use. We don't want suicide to be ever successful. So let's correct that. But 75% of people who die by suicide are males, even though it is the attempt is four times higher in female compared to male. So when because and this is because when men decide to do this, they use very lethal means of doing it that gives them the lowest chance of survival so
Mm.
that if they don't come back. So that is why we need to pay attention to this issue. And it's also why we need to let our men be humans as well and not treat them as superhumans. Well, there's a lot that we can talk about suicide, but I will keep it here so that we'll be able to do what we need to do about that. So let me, ma'am, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I thank you so much for the courage. And I thank you for, the privilege of being on this platform to share this story. You reached out to me. I didn't know this was going on. I
Mhm.
really appreciate that. So to everyone out there too, if you think there's something you would like to share for us to keep shaming stigma and let people know that hey, this thing is happening, reach out to me and I'll be glad to host you here. And to everybody who joined, right from Olori Ronti to Olushola Adesoya Taylor, Toyosi Akibo, I said Niyo Juolape, who there we have Pastor Show, Benga Showumi, and to all most of the Facebook users, you didn't give StreamYard your permission to show your name. So
Okay.
Kola Araromi, thank you for joining. Let me see. I hope I'm not missing anybody. Sarah, Bright, thank you for coming. Sophie, thank you for joining on Facebook. Thank you, ma'am. Olushola, Adesoya Taylor, thank you. Thank you, Olori Ranti. I really appreciate everyone who joined. Please, you can still share this with people so that they can learn. We can do something about it. I want to say, please support TO Foundation, my TO Foundation. I was trying to share a screen to show us, but any way you can support the foundation, please do. And let me, as we round up, let me ask, ma'am, anybody experiencing this or anybody that wants to talk to you about it, can they reach out to you?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. Please.
Okay, there we
You
go.
you have my number. You have my number. My Facebook page is there. Everything. So
Yeah.
anybody.
Okay, please
Mhm.
reach out to her. Let's also show her some love. Show her some
Oh
love.
yeah. Mhm.
Thank her on their page. A lot of people will do this. Let's thank her, thank her, thank her. We really appreciate you. On that note, I will say my mental health matters.
My mental health matters.
What about let's ask our viewers together. Uh,
My
my
mental
mental
health
health matters. What
matters.
about you?
What about you? Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.